Hello, I'm Dr. Karen Horridge, Disability Paediatrician in South Tyneside and Sunderland. This presentation is going to give a brief overview of the Needs4Pathways web app, how to use it and what it is useful for. The key purpose of the Needs4Pathways tool is to help clinicians to quickly and easily record the needs of children and young people at the point of care by generating an output that lists all of the child or young person's needs and associates them with the correct SNOMED-CT codes. There's then an output which prompts the clinician to consider what might be an appropriate transition care pathway for a young person who's 14 years of age or older. The whole Needs4Pathways tool is embedded in the World Health Organization's conceptual framework of disability, the ICF, or International Classification of Functioning Disability and Health. This takes account not just of the child or young person's health conditions such as cerebral palsy or epilepsy, but also their body function using validated tools such as the Gross Motor Function Classification System, GMFCS, for example. You can enter information about the body structure, but also about the activities that the young person might want to do and their participation in them. You can enter factors that are in the environment, such as physical access problems, difficulties with access to leisure, for example, or housing issues or equipment issues. And then you can enter in personal factors that might make somebody more resilient or vulnerable, such as safeguarding. So the Needs4Pathway tool captures multifaceted needs, health conditions and needs, family reported needs, such as with family housing, school equipment, access to leisure, support and information. The tool can capture information about technology dependencies such as gastrostomy tubes, ventilators, ventriculoperitoneal shunts and the like. You can also record whether there's a need or not for round-the-clock care. So cruising into the Needs4Pathways via Google will bring you to the welcome screen. You just click on the login. You then enter your username and password, and then you can start searching for and adding the needs of the patient that you are seeing. So you just start typing in the search bar, and then you'll get a drop-down list. For example, if you type cerebral palsy in, you'll come up with a drop-down list with everything to do with cerebral palsy, and you select the one that's relevant for the patient that you're seeing. You click add needs and that jumps into the list in the next section of the screen. You repeat the same process, adding each and every need of the child or young person, and as you can see we can add all sorts of needs, and then when you finish the consultation you click finish consultation and you get the option to either open or save a little Excel spreadsheet that includes all of the needs in a list, all of the right SNOMED-CT codes that relate to those needs where they exist, and then you'll see some prompts to you as a clinician to think about, if the child's 14 years or above, which is the appropriate care pathway for them to go on for their transition to adulthood. You might need to make the columns a bit wider on the spreadsheet in order to read the text, but these are examples of the prompts whether you need to think about identifying a clinician in secondary healthcare, talk to the adult palliative team, or whether a person with a learning disability needs to be flagged to their GP so they can receive their annual flu immunisations and annual learning disability health checks. So that's it in a nutshell. It is the clinician's responsibility to ensure that any data are stored safely in line with NHS data governance, preferably in the patient's electronic medical record. It's the clinician's responsibility to agree with their local IT and data teams how best to get the data from the spreadsheet into the electronic medical record, and whether the local team devise a bespoke interface to do that is up to local teams to discuss. There then needs to be agreement with the clinician, the IT and data teams about how these collated data, safely stored in line with NHS data governance, can then flow to the mandated NHS Digital Community Services dataset to allow reflection on population data with more meaningful data included. It's also the clinician's responsibility to reflect on the outputs of the Little Needs4Pathways tool and to consider with the family the most appropriate transition care pathway to achieve the best possible outcomes. So that's it in a nutshell, the Needs4Pathways tool. Thank you for your time and for listening.